Could you tell me what you saw on Friday?
The silver thing in amongst this clump of trees.
We saw this black figure running.
His face was like this, and his eyes were down here.
I just thought it was some kind of alien from a different planet.
As a film critic, I watch hundreds of films a year, and it's very rare that I see a film where I just want to grab everyone I know and just shake them and say, sit down and watch this. So thank you for creating such a fascinating film. I enjoyed it a great deal. And so my first question for you is, how did you think about this topic before you heard about the incident? And what compelled you to have to tell this story?
It was when I saw the videos of the children initially that John Mack had recorded. And that sparked my curiosity about that. And then finding all the other videos other people had shot interviewing these kids, over time. And I just, when I first found out about it, I was just, my God, this is such a great story. And of course, and everybody around me was like, don't, it's, they just didn't understand until, probably almost 10 years that I was into the story, that they were like, wow, this is a really good story. And I'm like, yeah, I've been saying that for 10 years.
Did you have any strong thoughts on the subject before you dove into this story?
Personally, yes, I did. Not thoughts, experiences. So, and I'm not the only one that I know that has seen some things. Yeah. You just in those times, you just didn't talk about it,
I get it. As someone with a lifelong interest in the topic, I find my views constantly shifting and expanding about, what it might be, what are people experiencing. So I'm curious, as you put your heart and soul into this film, how did your thoughts on the topic of UFOs change through the course of making it?
I guess my thoughts and experiences as I was moving through the film became much more, I was just surprised, to be honest, how many people knew about this, not just about the Ariel School, but all kinds of incidents all over the world. That to me was shocking. And it was military people, militaries of other countries that I spoke with. That was the shocker for me. Like, wow, this is well known. It's just been kept quiet, and I understand. It's like it's not a small deal. If this is real, wow, it's monumental.
And where did your research take you? Did you really hone in on this specific case, or like you said, you've heard about other stories? Did you go into other schoolyard encounters?
Yes.
And
it was the schoolyards were, that just piqued my interest, because there's probably I can definitely say at least 8 that I'm aware of personally. And that's a curious thing to me. But it wasn't just schoolyard cases. It was any kind of case, and that had credibility to it. Multiple witnesses to the witnesses, family member, that kind of thing, or military pilots, people that had something to lose by talking about it, which is why they haven't talked about it.
The thing that fascinates me the most is it's the little details from cases that have nothing to do with each other. So if I'm reading a book from 1952 and there's like someone sees a UFO and they report it sounds like a teapot whistling, and then you hear someone in another continent in 1953 saying the same thing, I just find that fascinating. What kind of details and overlap did you see in the different stories as you were compiling research for the film?
Well, that was the thing, really. That was the issue that I kept seeing, not the issue, the testimony I kept seeing were very small details. And those things, it is stunning to see corroboration of specific small things that really, they aren't even in this film, because it's, no one's going to understand it unless you've done research, in comparison. studies that you see it. The general public's not going to know what those things mean. But you're right. I saw a lot of that with Ariel. I saw that there's a consistency. You know how they say, the simplest answer is usually the best. I agree with that. I'm a mechanic. Like usually the simplest thing, but you do run into problems even as a mechanic that aren't simple. And I think this issue, the simplest answer doesn't work for this. It's much more complicated and subtle, and it's something that really needs to be looked into by universities, by our best people, to be honest.
So this story has such huge implications, and you spend so much time with it. I'm just curious, how does working on something like this change your outlook just on the world and your place in the world?
Yeah, it has an effect. You think about, I think about the native cultures, the indigenous people of Africa, and the conversations I had with them, and they've known about this for a long time, so it's a worldview, like Dr. John Mack had said it, others have said it, that it changes your worldview, how you perceive literally everything, because knowing that this is another species is out there, that's smarter than us, more developed, evolved than us, that's a pretty big thing to accept. It's not something I want to accept. I'd rather think human beings, yes, we're the best.
I get it.
Uh,
So you take a case like the Tic Tac encounter, which has all kinds of credible testimony, and there's so many people who can't even accept that. They can't wrap their minds around that. So I'm sure for something like this, you must be getting all kinds of skeptics and debunkers. So I'm curious, like, what kind of assumptions do they come in with, and what do they get wrong when they tell you this couldn't have happened?
Well, the stuff that's being shown on with the Pentagon and other people, it's just the tip of the iceberg. It really is. I haven't really got that much critique yet. I'm sure it's going to come.
Oh, you must not be on UFO Twitter.
Oh yeah, I'm not. I can't follow the online conversation. And here's my reason. Like, I've been doing this for 15 years. I've been doing my research. I'm not the only one that has. And the conversations I'd like to have, those people need to know all the, they need to do their research. A lot of times the skeptics, I've seen this before, they don't do anything. They read a few things and they're like, oh, this can't, it's in their own mindset that they're not used. It's not about facts. It's about opinion.
Right.
And that's not where I'm coming from. So I just don't even pay any attention to them at this point. I've done all the research I need to do, and it's open for other people to look at. I do, in a way, hope that they don't bother these people too much at all, because they've been through a lot already, the school and the kids, and they've been through a lot. And I know people are contacting them left and right, and I'm hearing about it. And I just feel for them, because they've already been through enough.
So when we talk about skeptics, I can't help but think of John Mack and everything he had to go through diving into the field. And he's someone who very much, you could do a whole documentary on John Mack.
Oh, yeah.
He's a legend in the field. And I'm wondering what did you uncover just diving into his story and dedicating so much of the film to his legacy?
Well, what was similar that in his story was very similar to what witnesses go through all around the world, not just Ariel or anybody, any place else. You're confronted with people's ideas of the world, and John definitely was. He took a huge risk to Dr. Mack. And he, what people don't know is how that man had a huge career before he got involved with looking into this subject. I mean, he was already world famous, and Pulitzer Prize. I mean, many other books that he had written on suicide, on addiction, all kinds of things. And yeah, I think because of the timing of everything, when Ariel School, the incident at Ariel School happened, and this at the same time, Dr. John Mack was going through, a lot of ridicule and with very big potential consequences for him. After a long time, I got to know him. I saw the effect that had, on him as a person and his relationship and with his family and his colleagues. That was the big thing, was how his colleagues treated him when he came out about this. And that had to be devastating because he was such a well-respected professor of psychology at Harvard, psychiatry at Harvard. And he had a very large group of friends. And when all this came forward, when he came forward in the research, those people, most of them did not treat him well. And he took a huge risk, for the right reason. He knew something was going on. He didn't exactly know what it was, but I do know that he was convinced that there was something here. What we figure out what that is, that's up to us.
You spent years and years pouring your blood, sweat, and tears into this film. What did you record? What did you cover that just you couldn't put it into this 2-hour film that you would have liked to get in there?
Yeah, we started with a 4-hour rough cut. We got it down to 2 hours, 20 minutes. And we kept whittling it down over time, to 1 hour and 39, I believe it is now. So there's an enormous amount of recordings and interviews. And even I did probably 60 or 70 interviews of other people in Africa. Not only other incidents, but other people around, within the same week before and after of Ariel. So that's not even in the film because there's just no time, there was no time to tell the full story because there's too many people. And what I'm looking forward to is those people coming forward after this film is released. There's a lot of people that didn't want to go on camera.
Is there any chance of a director's cut or some special features for people who want to learn more?
Yes, that's gonna occur probably. It's probably be 6 months or more after the release of this cut.
Awesome.
But I look forward to share it, to share more because there's more.
Oh, for sure. I'm looking forward to seeing it. My last question for you is: are you done with the topic? Can we expect another film on the subject from you?
Yes. I'm a big wildlife guy, so maybe I'll do a wildlife film that's unique in its perspective. But I know, well, there's a story that I'm aware of that I can't share, but it's one that has piqued my interest and nobody knows about, or very few people know about it.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of us already looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'll put my heart in it, man. That's for sure.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed speaking with you, and I'm looking forward to just being able to share this film with people. I can't wait to start that conversation.
Well, thank you so much, Victor. I appreciate that.
Thanks for your time.